back. We are talking all things Oscars. Yes, the 97th Academy Awards just happened yesterday, and there's a lot that people gotta say. Here in this video today, we are going to be going over the snubs, the wardrobe, and a few of the awkward moments that I think may have a bit more of significance. Let's jump into it. So, got the iPad out so you know it's real. It's going down. So, Demi Moore. Demi Moore was actually favored to win for Best Actress. The Academy obviously went in a different direction, but I think that was a major upset. I don't know why. I don't know if it was the concept of, the substance versus, the other film. I don't know, but she was definitely favored to win, and for whatever reason or another, people are trying to understand that one. Sometimes I feel that when you're looking at Academy Awards or Grammys or, Tonys or whatever the platform is, it seems to be that sometimes when you have, actors, singers, songwriters that are veterans in their field, so to speak, that it automatically goes to be that X should be for them, or Y should be for, this group of people, when it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. So to see an indie film come out, yesterday and come out and win, I believe it was 5 Oscars, it's huge. It's huge, and kudos to them. Next upset was Timothée Chalamet. This is going to be another one of those. I think everybody was rooting for him. He was in, Dune, one of the leads in Dune, as well as the one that he was nominated for. And Dune also did get an Oscar in this 97th event as well. But Timothée Chalamet was not selected. I'm wondering if, dare I say it again, it's one of those, the veteran, should be there. Perhaps the veteran has more experience, so on and so forth. There was kind of a low-key snub when Conan O'Brien mentioned that at the beginning, where he said, hey, here's a throwback picture for this person, here's a throwback picture for myself, and then he had Timothée Chalamet, and the throwback picture was in a womb. It was like a womb picture. It was like a womb picture, and again, it was definitely one of those meant to be funny. It was lighthearted. But it's kind of one of those that saying hey, you're fresh in the game, and perhaps, there's more seasoning to be happening. So let me know what you think about that concept. The next one here was Cynthia Erivo. Again, I believe this was Best Leading Actress, and Best Leading Actress ended up going to a different direction. And this is one of those because she is on the cusp of becoming an EGOT. So an EGOT, EGOT, is supposed to be Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. So she is missing that Oscar to particularly get the EGOT status. And I think that is one of those, everybody's kind of root for kind of deal, same thing. But with it being said, Wicked did have a lot of promotion. They had a lot of promotion. There was a beautiful opening with Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, where they did, they each had their own time. Ariana sang, Cynthia sang, and then they sang the duet which was their opening for the Oscars, and was the main theme song from Wicked. I think that was absolutely beautiful. I think Cynthia looked gorgeous in her dress. She had her earpiece, her earrings, the jewelry, the ring match, the necklace. It was absolutely gorgeous. That set how it came in, it wasn't too much. Her makeup, very flawless, very effortless, very light. Even with no eyebrows. The no eyebrow thing kills me. But even with no eyebrows, she absolutely looked gorgeous. She sounded gorgeous. It just came out effortlessly, and kudos to her. And the support that, the team has, provided to her. And you could just see how they lifted each other up during their filming, and even the bond that you see, them having today. So kudos to them. Couple strange moments, I would definitely say, was Kieran Culkin, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Again, he is one of those child actors as well that came through. He did win an Oscar, and one of the comments that he mentioned was the whole thing where he had, I guess, basically like a bet going with his wife to say, hey, we want to have a third child, and she's like, hey, when you get an Oscar, we'll have the child kind of deal. And Then he kind of says during his speech, you know, I lied, I really want a fourth kid, and, you know, let's get cracking on the kids, and, you know, you remember, you know, we shook hands on it, which part of me is kind of like, ooh, I'm like, that's awkward. I'm like, there's only like 1 billion people watching. Like, why do they need to know what's going on in your bedroom, sir? But I feel like the other part of it was like, obviously this is something that was really important to him. And for whatever reason, having the Oscar status made her more inclined to want to say we can expand the family. I don't even know. But for me, I just didn't think that that was the place for it. I think it was very awkward. I think how it was done in a playful manner. But I definitely think it was one of those people are looking at her. And I don't think, I'm going to say fair. Life isn't fair, but I don't know if that was fair in that respect of to put the spotlight, you know, on her at one point in time. Of course, an Oscar is a big deal, but to then kind of tie it or link it to something else, I don't know. I thought that was a little strange. Let me know in the comments what you think. Did you think that was a little over the top? Did you just think it was strange? Did you think like maybe that wasn't the place? Or maybe if that was a side conversation, you know, something that should have been in private. And his Oscar was for actor in a supporting role in A Real Pain. That was him. I'm Lanisha Kier. You're watching Kier's Lux Life, where I bring you all things fun, beauty, luxury, lifestyle, and some travel. If that's something you're into, make sure you subscribe. Hit that bell notification so you're notified when I have a future upload. Next strange thing I found throughout the Oscar was people who won an Oscar in the acceptance speech were thanking their animals, thanking their dog. I don't know if there were a couple cats, but there were definitely a few dogs. And I thought that was strange. I'm like, of all the people you could thank, your cast, your crew, your directors, the writers, all that, your dog? I don't know. I mean, growing up, we did have a family pet, Brandy. Brandy was awesome. She was a miniature poodle. Bless her heart, bless her soul. And I don't know that at any point in time of any achievement, like when I graduated and I got my doctorate and I would thank someone, I was thanking a pet or like or something else. I don't know. That never crossed the dome. I thought that was just a little strange to me. Then the last strange thing that I found, or strangers, maybe something there's more to it. You guys tell me. Conan O'Brien. So Conan O'Brien was the host. I believe this was his first time hosting. I think they mentioned that this was his first time hosting a few times throughout the set. And two things came up. One, he had a portion where he welcomed individuals from other countries. India was one, China was another. And in it, for the message to China, he mentioned that he was severely in debt. And any films that they have coming about, if they could consider him for a role, he'd be greatly appreciative. And it was definitely one of those, it was truly comical. But it was one of those where perhaps, is there something more to it? You know, is there something more to it to say, hey, there's only 1 billion people watching. You know, I'm available for talent. I'm good talent. You know, like, look at me. Now, I didn't think anything of it the first go around until I went back and I seen the first part of it where he had mentioned earlier in the Oscars where, hey, these are the jokes, folks. I'm not really getting paid much, so, you know, this is it. This is what we got. But it tied into another money thing. So I was like, I was like, well, that's interesting. And it's a strange way to kind of, you know, play into it. But is there something more to that? So you guys tell me, am I reading into it? Or is he telling us something that everybody should know or maybe shouldn't know? All right, tapping into some of the wardrobes. I have about 10 looks. And then I have some notes. So let me see. Let's pull up the looks. Let's tap into. The first one is going to be Demi Moore. Demi Moore wore this gorgeous gown. Definitely has some rouging in and around the hip area. Tight bodice here. And a deep kind of V neckline. This particular one was custom Giorgio Armani. And I think it fit the script. She has the bracelet. The bracelet wraps well, matches the dress here, and she has that iconic long hair. So this particular one is a look that a lot of people liked. I think it looks gorgeous on her. It's fitting. And of course, with her nomination, she was right up front. And the opening scene from Conan O'Brien was like her movie. It was the movie. He was crawling out of her body. That part was a little strange too, but definitely, definitely, you know, definitely a looker. Next one we're going to talk about was Timothée Chalamet. So Timothée Chalamet came in, and maybe I was the only one on the planet that didn't know that Timothée Chalamet and Kylie Jenner are a thing. Like, what? So he was on the red carpet by himself, though. I didn't see Kylie Jenner until they went into like seating, and then she was sitting next to him, and then I was kind of like leaned over, like, is that Kylie Jenner? So fast forward, or rather, tap back into the red carpet. He wore this yellow leather suit, almost like highlighter yellow, with a satin shirt underneath. I thought it was kind of cool. Oscar worthy, that's perhaps controversial, but I definitely thought it was cool. This particular monochromatic look was by Givenchy. Here was by Givenchy under Sarah Burton. Now, this particular look, I think, made him stand out. I think it was intended to make him stand out, but I think it strayed away from the norm. And the norm is like black tie, ivory red. Those are like the traditional custom norm. I don't think we saw anybody else that truly had like a pop of color that was anything like that. So in and of itself, it was a design element that I think stood out, but I think it stood out in a positive way. Next up is going to be Ray, and I'm looking down back at her gorgeous look. This is a red Vivienne Westwood, and it does have a gorgeous swooping scoop neckline, and the back of it was just like a tight, almost like a corset kind of piece she has here with her hair kind of like, you know, fluffed out as we have seen her. And this is absolutely gorgeous. She did mention there in her interview that she did have an Audemars Piguet piece on as part of her jewelry to tie her look together, but I think she absolutely looks gorgeous. She did perform during the Oscars. She sounded gorgeous. There was an outfit change in there, which I think fit the scene. It fit the song. It was more becoming than I think this piece would have been for the set. But again, absolutely gorgeous, beautiful voice. And more excited, definitely excited to see more cool things from Ray. Next up is going to be Doja Cat. Doja Cat has a Balmain piece on. This particular piece is supposed to be an archive piece from the 1950s and is giving sequins, baby. This particular piece, I think, absolutely looks gorgeous. This definitely reminded me of Cardi B's look from the Grammys. It was also a sequin piece and came down, but she had far more of a fit and flare, whereas Doja Cat kind of has more of like a sheath that kind of comes down tight, you know, framed to the body, and then, but doesn't necessarily like fit. The piece that comes around the neck, I don't know. I feel like I could have done without that. I think it works well. It's cute. But something about the piece around the neck to me is a little strange. Only other thing I will comment on is the eyebrows. So I actually have a colleague, and she's like recently done her eyebrows like this. And when I seen Doja Cat have rocking this look yesterday, I was like, wow, I didn't even know it was a thing. And something about where the eyebrows kind of like flick up a little bit, kind of, you know, like it flicks up a little bit instead of a traditional like arch kind of situation. What do you think about this trend? Do you think that it's like here to stay? Do you think it works on like certain face shapes? If that's the thing, I don't know. Something about it just, I haven't decided. I'm undecided on that one. I don't know. Something about it coming up. It almost gives cat eye. I don't know if it's cat eye as in Doja Cat, or if there's something more to it, or if it's just trendy. Now, as far as her performance was concerned, I didn't love her performance. I think her wardrobe for her performance was absolutely gorgeous, but the performance in and of itself, vocals, I didn't care for it. I think for the set that she had, I think it was Lisa, Doja Cat, and then Ray. I'm sure that those selections were picked for them. They were not their songs. They were not ones that they, you know, set up, if you will. So I think part of it is, you know, whatever's selected for you, you got to work with it if you're deciding that you're going to move forward with it. But other than that, her red carpet look was absolutely gorgeous. Whoopi Goldberg shocked us all with a dress. I was completely shocked. I did not expect to see a dress from Whoopi Goldberg. I don't know the last time that we've seen a dress from Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi is actually rocking by Christian Siriano. Christian Siriano was actually one of the commentators for the red carpet. So we definitely got some sneak peek, you know, in look from him directly. And this was said to be liquid water. This was definitely the inspo for liquid water. And definitely as it moves through, I can see that. I can totally see that. She wore it. She looks strong in it. She looks, you know, confident in it. It looks like it has pockets as well, which, you know, pockets are always dope. She did not have a dress change. This is actually what we saw her later in when she was up with Oprah Winfrey doing the presentation for Quincy Jones. And I think it works. I think it works. I think it shows more personality. I think it gave another side to Whoopi that we probably don't necessarily get to see day in, day out. And they also introduced Sister Act 3. So it doesn't seem to be that it's far along. It seems perhaps maybe it's still in like the writing phases of it. But Sister Act 3 is coming, and she verified that it's a thing. Next, we're going to talk about Coco Jones. Love her. Coco Jones was rocking this black on black, and you know, the sequins coming down on the bodice, the dress, high thigh, the high thigh situation is giving. Gorgeous body, gorgeous girl. It works for her, and it's Coach. It's a Coach design, and I think it's one of those, you know, some of the middle of the line brands often get dropped. Coach, Dooney and Burke, you know, Chloe. A lot of those brands kind of get lost in the sauce when you start talking about, you know, some of the higher end brands and collabs and companies. And Coach is it. Coach actually killed this look. She looked good in it. She was confident in it. It fits her shape. And I think it's one of those that, you know, would definitely move forward well, that, you know, if it did hit the market, people would buy it. People would absolutely buy this piece. Of course, we're going to talk about Ariana Grande. Now, she has this Chapali piece on, and something about it, how it fits, how she moved in it, she absolutely looks gorgeous in it. The plum kind of situation, it's interesting. It looks gorgeous on her, don't get me wrong. I think it gives her some shape, given that she is so fit. And she's petite. So I think giving her shape works for her. I think because she is so petite and she's fit, I think it doesn't necessarily always fit her age. And I think that's something that she at times struggles with, that, you know, she's older than how she looks. But I think giving her some body, some shape works well. Now, it's also my understanding that for her performance, she wore a red dress. I'm going to try to grab an image of it. Absolutely flawless piece. I think I like that piece better than the runway piece that she had. They're also by Chapali, the same designer. And there was an interlude where we saw she had a black dress on. So it looked like there was another change as well. She had a black dress on, but she wasn't on the red carpet and she wasn't on stage wearing that dress. It was just, we saw her seated on the front row. It was like a quick glimpse and was like, oh, okay. So she did have at least 3 outfits for the Oscar change, for the Oscar, you know, in and of itself, which I'm like, okay, girl, I see you. Definitely see you. Cynthia Erivo definitely had a lot of drama going on. She also had shape as well. She's wearing custom Louis Vuitton. And this particular one, you know, the hips, the shoulders, the neck. I feel like if you're going to do something, do one. Like, if you're going to do something, but do something with one. Like, Ariana Grande had hip. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a couple other people had shoulder. You know what I mean? But the shoulder, the neck, the hip, I don't know if you could argue and say it's too much. But I think maybe, and then it being in green too, maybe green being an homage to Wicked. Not really sure. But it fits her well. But I think it could also lead to, you could get lost in it because there's a lot going on. Let me know what you think about Cynthia Erivo's look on here. 2 more I'm going to give you is one is Coco Gauff. Coco Gauff had this gorgeous yellow dress. Love the color. This is actually almost similar to the color of Timothée Chalamet's suit that he had here, but she does have some rhinestones in here. This is to be a custom vintage Coach piece. And I think it's fitting. I think it's fitting. It pops on her complexion. I don't know about it being my favorite look. The back did have some of the ruffling on it, but I think it's one of those, she's coming, she's attending. I didn't see that she was, you know, presenting, you know, anything in that nature. So I think as an attendee, I think it works well. Then we're going to tap into Rachel Sennott. This is a custom Balenciaga. This particular piece, I actually saw it. I was like, oh, I thought this was absolutely gorgeous. Love the color, love the fit. Her shape is gorgeous. It absolutely fits her well. It looks good on her. And the stones in and of itself are congruent. So it's not like sequins where some of the sequins look like this and some of the sequins kind of move in a different direction. Whereas these stones, the placement on it is like to a T. So where she turns, the light hits it, it reflects, and it just pops. It just works. I saw this. I actually wasn't familiar with this actor in general, or I believe comedian in and of itself. And I said, you know, let me look at her and see what she all about. But this particular piece definitely had me looking at her to see what was what to give you. And the last one I'm going to give you is Coleman Domingo. Domingo is rocking a double breast Valentino. This particular piece I actually like. I don't think we really saw him too much on the red carpet. If so, it was for a brief period of time, but he was sitting straight on the front row. He was actually nominated for his performance in Sing Sing. They did show some of the clips in there as well, but he definitely looks gorgeous. How the tie kind of comes around, pin on the lapel, a monochromatic at the top, and then just with the peak lapel, it works. It works. He looks very comfortable. Again, like I said, you couldn't miss him. He was on the front row, and he was like the only one in that section wearing red. So it worked out well for him. Definitely let me know, what was your favorite outfit of the Oscars that you saw? Do you agree with the snubs that I talked about at the beginning? Or do you think, hey, you know, they didn't get it this time, maybe they'll get it next time? And what do you think about the hype or controversy surrounding Wicked? I think, again, like I said, they prepped it, they pushed it, it went well, and they gave it a lot of advertisement. It was everywhere. I think of all the films there, I think I was only aware, all the films that were like nominated for the Oscars, I was really only aware of Wicked and maybe Anora. The other films I had never heard of. I had never heard of. So watching it back and going to see that, I think Wicked was nominated for at least 10 categories, excuse me, and I want to say they took home 2 Oscars. So I think that particular, you know, nomination to ratio was a little rough for them. I think they had a rough night. Let me know your thoughts here on the 97th Academy Awards here. And as always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment down below. I'll see you guys in the next one.